During the summer, private groups will often charter special trains on the railroads. It could be for clubs, parties, weddings, or even business trips. One day, Krista was in charge of one of these trains down the coast. She would take them to Glendale Seaport, and from there they would take a ferry boat and ride across the harbor before returning home. When she arrived at the ferry terminal, she saw Taylor. "Hello, Krista," said Taylor. "Having fun pulling the special, I hope." "Indeed I am," smiled Krista. "They seem to be really enjoying themselves." "Well, I'm sure you'll get them home safely," Taylor said, and she puffed away. By the time the excursionists had arrived back at the train and Krista had been turned around in service, the weather had taken a turn for the worse. The clear blue sky was replaced by dark clouds. Krista was a little worried. "You think we'll be all right?" she asked her driver. Her driver looked up at the threatening clouds. "We should be," he replied, but he wasn't 100% sure. The passengers boarded and Krista puffed away. Normally, all trains along Taylor's branch line are halted during bad weather to keep everyone safe. The forecast had called for thunderstorms in the afternoon, but the meteorologist had made an error, and it was supposed to be more severe than previously thought. The storm was raging as Krista made her way along the line. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed, and the waves were running up against the shore. "Ooh, I don't like this," Krista called to her driver. "I don't like it either," replied her driver. "But all we have to do is maintain a safe speed and we'll be all right. I promise." The rails were getting so wet that Krista began to lose traction with every turn of her wheels. The slick rails became more severe as she approached the bridge. As Krista crossed it, she was moving no more than walking pace. The firemen carefully applied sand. Suddenly, from behind them, there was a loud crash, and the train jerked back violently. Krista's driver, thinking quickly, put the train into emergency. Krista and her crew looked back and saw the sheer horror that lay before them. The field leading to the bridge had been completely washed away by the storm, and now their last passenger car was hanging over it. "Help!" cried the passengers. "We're all gonna die!" "What do we do now?" cried Krista. "I guess just keep the brakes on and we go for help," the driver said. "But that could take forever," Krista replied angrily. Through the storm, Krista could hear the cries of the scared passengers, worried that they were about to meet their end. "We have to try to pull the coach back," Krista said at last. "But that could be dangerous," her driver protested. "The safest thing we could do is keep the brakes on," added the fireman. "I'd rather try than to let the coach fall in the ocean and do nothing," Krista said. Krista's crew realized that she had a point and agreed that they would let her try to pull the coach to safety. Krista's crew laid plenty of sand on the rail so she could get a good grip. And then her driver carefully, gingerly opened the throttle. "Okay, Krista, gently now." Krista gave an almighty heave, but she didn't pull too hard as she didn't want to break the coupling on the coach. Krista's wheels didn't grip at first, but soon they did, and she began to pull the coach. At one point, it did slide back slightly, but Krista wasn't going to give up. She pulled as hard and as carefully as she could. Then finally, with one more heave, the coach was back on safe rails. The passengers cheered for Krista. After a short rest, Krista continued on her journey. At last, exhausted but safe, Krista reached Denville. "Thank goodness I've made it," she wheezed. "Krista, what happened?" asked Taylor. "You don't normally run late." Well, part of that field by the bridge collapsed. I had to pull the last coach to safety before it was swallowed by the ocean. Taylor was stunned. Oh, thank goodness you're all right. The relieved and happy passengers poured out of the coaches. 3 cheers for Krista and her crew, one called. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Everyone shouted. Krista smiled happily. A few days later, Krista was sent to Harmon Works, but she didn't know why. It was very quiet, and the only other engineer was Taylor. Good morning, Krista, smiled Taylor. Do you have any idea why Miss Caldwell asked me to come here? Asked Krista. She wouldn't tell me why no matter how many times I asked. I can answer that, Taylor said, and she gave the signal. From behind the carriage works, Rodney came out pulling some passenger cars. Are these mine? Cried Krista. Yes, they are, replied Taylor. Miss Caldwell felt you deserved them after that heroic effort. Krista was so happy she felt like she could cry. Miss Caldwell said your only assignment today is to test out your new passenger cars. Have fun with them. I sure will, said Krista happily. Krista switched tracks and coupled onto her new passenger cars and set off on a leisurely stroll down the main line. Every engine Krista passed by told her that she looked wonderful with her new passenger cars. And they all agreed that she definitely deserved them.
And swim and barbecue. I can't wait till those hot summer nights, girl. I want to spend them with you, me and you. I'm so glad that it's summer again. Oh, too soon the summer will barbecue.